Wonder Woman issue 31, legacy number 831, Tom King writing with Daniel Sampeere on the art. So this is the start of the Wonder War. They're marketing this is kind of the big next thing. And like we were saying, we did Solicits earlier, much like that first 19 issues, which was 3 arcs that made one big trilogy of arcs. This seems to be doing the same thing, where this is Act 1 of a three-part story. So, yeah. And right away, there's some mystery to this, because who's narrating? And not just one person either. There is 2 narrators dueling narrating, and then right at the end of the book, a third narrator comes in, and it was okay. Yes. And you're trying to guess from the way they talk about someone. They're okay, does this give us a hint as to who this is? I'm not really sure, to be honest, yet, but
there was one bit somewhere in the middle where they say my sister or something like that, and all I could think is, this is the Fates. This is the ancient Greek 3 sisters fates or whatever, because one of them is specifically talking about how the story starts at this point, which is more of the middle, and then the other one saying how it starts back in the past, even further back. And obviously the fates are focused on past, present, future, so maybe that's where this is going from.
I guess I was thinking too much in a which character is this, as opposed to something more mythical like that. But
they have specific colors for that, but then every once in a while they'll do that thing where the narration box continues from what a character is saying on to the next page. And I think it's Matriarch who has that happening, and it adds a new color to the mix, and I'm like, this is too much. You have too many narrators going on here, too many narration boxes.
Yeah, definitely keeping our minds alert, I suppose, because I was starting to pay attention. I was like, wait, this is a slightly different color. Oh, I need to pay attention to these colors because there's multiple narrators, and I need to figure out who's got what attitude and how they kind of clash with each other and so on. But so we get stuff from their childhood where Lizzie would be visiting Lissa, the matriarch, on Themyscira, and them hanging out as kids, which makes sense because we know that that Amazon was pregnant and had the baby on the Mouse Island, and that's whilst Lizzie was still a baby. So yeah, they're about the same age. They're within a year of each other. So that makes sense. And we also get what they call the middle of the story, which is in the future, which is basically this attempt to assassinate the matriarch because she's gotten too powerful, and it's the Trinity of the time, which is Lizzie, Damien, and John, and the whole plot revolves around the fact that old Lex Luthor's gifting the matriarch this sword worth billions of dollars, but he's actually going to double cross the Trinity because he's supposed to be working with them. That's the reveal in his first scene, but then later on he protects the matriarch, and seemingly that gets both John and Damien killed.
Yes. To be clear, this sword is the God Killer sword, which, strangely enough, has its roots all the way back in New 52 Deathstroke. It's just basically a thing that was made by Hephaestus that can kill a god. And so I think it being present here and under Matriarch's control is just kind of a show of power sort of thing.
Yeah. But the reveal at the end is that the Trinity were doing all this to trick her and have actually swapped the God Killer sword with a fake, and they actually stole the real one, and the ending reveal is that Lizzie goes back to someone else who's holding it, and it's old Wonder Woman with the grey streak in her hair.
Diana, yep.
That's the big ending.
Love the way it does the reveal where it says, all right, all that went to plan. John and Damien sacrificed themselves, so this better have worked. But she reveals, Superman, while Lex Luthor was showing off the sword, Superman was able to switch it for a fake, and then Damien just carried out from her cloak. And then if you go back to the first page where Lex is talking about it, you can see in the third panel there's just a couple little swoosh lines to show that that's the exact moment where Superman stole it right under from Lex's nose.
Yeah, it's neat, especially since I think in the moment, even if you notice them, you sort of think, oh, that's just the sound of the sword moving out of the panel, maybe. Yeah. It's the swoosh.
Yeah, that's him picking up the sword, yeah.
Yeah, but in hindsight, it makes all this sense. And you know that they're up to something, because when the Trinity are on the rooftop talking before they go over to try and assassinate her, they sort of reminisce and they say, oh, we were babysitters, this, blah, blah, blah. And they all sort of say, oh, I'm going to miss you, and they hug. And it's okay, clearly they think this is an ending for them of some sorts, but... So, they agree to go and sacrifice themselves, and Lizzie's, on her own with her mother now. So it feels like a big deal. And the narrators are like, nah, but that's the middle of the story. We have to go back to the start as well. So it seems like we're going to continue this thing for this first arc of this 3-part story. Is we're going to get the childhoods and how Lizzie and Lissa, like, what their friendship and rivalry kind of bloods. Because I assume in that story we're going to see how she becomes the matriarch. Because right now, when we see these flashbacks in Themyscira, they're competitive. They fight a little bit, but it's not like hatred. It's not that yet.
No, but you can see there's this resentment that matriarch has for Lizzie because of this idea of she's got this whole other world. She's got, Damien and John and her mom and all that stuff, whereas she doesn't believe that she has anything. And so it feels like that's where it's all going to really stem out from. It's going to build from that idea of resentment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a line, I think it's one of the narrators says that Lizzie was born out of love, but Lissa was born out of hate. Like, quite literally, she was a hate baby. Created
absolutely.
Just purely to be this matriarch, this something that could take on, the heritage of all this evil that's been going for generations and whatnot. So, yeah. So, no, I mean, those flashbacks are fun, and I like the build up. The matriarch's got this butler who's kind of like running down, what
That's
the
Mouse Man.
Oh, so you know what? I never even noticed that was Mouse Man.
Yeah.
I never noticed his teeth.
Because at the end of the thing, end of the conversation, I forget exactly what she says, but she's like, oh, is this in order or whatever? She's like, yes, of course it is. And she's like, oh, well, Mouse Man knows.
Yeah, I noticed the Mouse Man knows, and I thought that was like a reference, but I didn't actually get that he was Mouse Man. It is kind of interesting he's serving her, because the whole thing was him like making everyone serve him, and now and that actually kind of teases the fact that Lex is also going to bow down to her later on, because you wouldn't think of Lex bowing down to anyone, not specifically a woman. Lex is an egomaniac for everyone, but whereas Mouse Man feels specifically misogynist, so it's actually very notable that he is, like, you don't even really feel bad for him specifically, because you're like, yeah, you know what, you deserve to be treated like shit. You can, you could be a servant, that's fine.
Absolutely. I don't know how much of this has been established with Matriarch, but she also, apparently the whole reason that they have to do this whole plan and like try to fake like they're trying to kill her with the God Killer sword is because she has a Green Lantern ring and a Legionnaire's ring. So she's essentially just invulnerable unless she's surprised. Yeah,
she's also killed the Justice League by the sounds of it. She's killed Batman and like Superman, like the OGs before this point. That said though, well, I believe she probably has a Green Lantern ring, the one she's wearing in this is not a Green Lantern ring. There's a twist.
Yes.
That is actually just a kryptonite ring, which I thought was really funny, because when we were doing the Gotham by Gaslight book, and there was literally a debate, is this a Green Lantern ring or just a kryptonite ring? So I thought it was funny that here she actually pulled a little twist that this was a kryptonite ring. But no, I do like the idea that they have to surprise her, because she's got these two rings on that'll just kick in and protect her if anyone tries anything. That said though, I do really like the reveal that they knew they weren't going to kill her, because I was in that page where they're saying, okay, we're going to assassinate this bitch. I was thinking, like, I get that you're selling she's the big bad, but I don't really believe that Damien maybe, but John and Lizzie willing to kill someone, that feels a little bit like, like, unless you're trying to tell me that she's that bad that it has to happen. But even the way they phrase it, it sounds like, oh, it's for vengeance or something. I was like, so I was really glad that, it wasn't actually, like, they never really believed they were going to kill her. It was all about doing the charade so that they could, make her think she's got the real sword.
To be fair, I think that, I don't think John would have been okay with it if it were just like straight up murder. Damien, he was dropping people left and right. Like, there were a few guards he was already stabbing through. So yeah, he's willing to do it.
Yeah, Damien I buy. Damien's Damien, right? Like, I get it.
I think it makes sense for Lizzie to kind of be in that in-between ground where she's like, this is my duty. Like, I have to fix this. This comes out of my own wheelhouse. And debating on whether or not she should go that extra length of, like, do I kill her?
Yeah. Like, I mean, Wonder Woman's killed before, but it's not something she does lately. It's not like she's going around,
Right. But I think it also comes down to the same sort of thing of Wonder Woman with, like, Cheetah. Like, this is Lizzie's childhood friend. This is someone she grew up with. I'm sure she's much more hesitant to do that.
Yeah, but I don't think Lizzie would just. I don't think Lizzie would normally kill, but I think. Well, to be fair, I don't know Lizzie that well to know her. But if I'm speaking about Diana does not go around killing and will typically try and avoid it at all costs. But she has in the past snapped a certain neck. Okay, it has happened. in the right context. So it's not like it's a never ever ever rule with her. Whereas Batman and Superman, it feels like no, they never will cross that line because that's just who they are. So but so I appreciated though that this, but the way they were talking about it was so cavalier. It didn't feel like things have reached a point where I believe they're willing to cross this line. For some of them anyway. Again, Damien, maybe he's more willing to, but like,
right.
So I was glad that it wasn't just, that's what it is. Like, it wasn't what it was at face value. So that made sense to me. I also really like in that scene where she's the matriarch's talking to Mouseman, the butler, is that they build up and it's like we're seeing her from behind, and then when she puts on her outfit, we get that over the shoulder shot. It felt like a big reveal. It made her feel like a big deal. Like, oh, she is like the main villain of this story. It feels like a big character that we're proud to show off and say, no, she is the big deal here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I also like how, it shows her bareback and she's got like scars and cuts and stuff like that. So it's obvious she didn't have just like, she's not so good at fighting or so pristine or whatever that she's not able to get a few hits in from her past, but she's refined herself now to where everyone fears her. Yep.
So, no. Enjoyed all this stuff and the way it played out.
I think personally, my only like little thing is I was so much more invested in the, I'm going to call it modern stuff, but the future, the stuff that's
the adult stuff.
The adult stuff. I'm so much more invested in that whenever we cut back to the kids and showing how they develop, it feels so, I wouldn't say unnecessary, but it doesn't have as much of a point as the main story, that it does just feel a little bit like filler to an extent.
I suspect that in future issues, there probably will be some really important stuff in the kids section, and this is just establishing that we're going to be doing that. We're going to be consistently having this part of the timeline. It's just in this one, all the more interesting stuff's absolutely in the adult part of the story, and this is just kind of like, hey, they're friends and they spend summers together on Themyscira, but I'm sure there'll be like falling outs. I'm sure we'll see like her turn to the dark side, if you will.
Oh, yeah. We're going to see whatever like the unforgivable thing was, whatever the thing that sent them down these different paths, and they're never going to be able to reconcile.
Yeah, so excited to see that. And, I think the big reveal of Wonder Woman being alive and like sort of being like the partner with Lizzie at the end is a cool reveal, because up until this point, everything that we've seen from the future of Lizzie speaking to, the Monarch, or like everything we've seen, it's all been without Diana, and it's led to this natural speculation of, is she even around? Is she gone? Is she dead? So it actually felt like a big thing where she walks in and Diana's there and said, no, she's working with her daughter. Like, she's not on her own here. She's got Wonder Woman by her side. So the cover of this one, which kind of promises them kind of together fighting side by side, is kind of actually not a lie. It's like, no, this feels like this is what it is. Like, they're going to wage war together as a pair. So yeah, no, it's interesting stuff. And obviously I expect they're going to like erase this future somehow. Otherwise this is effectively getting into Elseworld territory if it's not kind of like fixed by the end. But that's just something you kind of accept when we're doing future stories, I guess.
Yeah. It's always going to be, this is going to happen next year, but we're never going to get to next year. It's always just down the road. Yeah.
Well, because, when you say like, oh, like this woman killed like Superman, Batman, and all the Justice League, it's like, well, like, it's a bit much to sort of just accept that, or expect that to be accepted as like the future canon. Is like that's always going to happen. So
yeah, you can't have every single writer be like, well, I guess Superman died in 2030.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. Obviously, Daniel Sampere's art is fantastic. Throughout this, that final page in particular is great. The full page spread of Wonder Woman, but throughout it's. I think they do a neat job here of making the big moments, the big splash pages feel big and epic, making characters feel larger than life. Action's cool, old Lex Luthor's cool. I mean, and I appreciate that they go for a slightly more muted color tone for the childhood stuff. They go for kind of like there's still like some popping, vibrant colors in their outfits, but like all of the faces and the backgrounds and the hair and all that feel a bit more just muted to make it feel like we're in the past. It's just a simple little thing, but it works.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's the gutters specifically. Like the gutters are more washed out than the main story stuff is, and gives it that different vibe.
Yeah, because the main story has like the black and the gutters, right? So it feels a bit more contrasty and whatnot, whereas the flashbacks feel a little bit more, I don't know. It's like, again, it's not even like it has like that different coloring where you're like, but it almost gives the impression of it being more watercolored, even though it isn't.
Right.
So, no, the art's fantastic, as it always is in this book. Like, I mean, Sampere's art's been great since issue 1. So, no,
I don't know how long the plan is for like Tom King's run on this, but I hope Sampere can stick around for like the whole length of it.
Sure.
I hope that's something that can stay consistent.
And I think they've intentionally taken that issue or two off every so often to maintain all the main story. It does have this level of consistency. At the very least, we know this is a trilogy of arcs, so I suspect that'll at least, we'll get to the end of that, and maybe that'll be the end of the run at that point, or maybe there'll be a third trilogy. But
being at issue, what are we at now? 31. And knowing that the solicit said that end of Act 1 is issue like 34, so I would imagine that we can at least get to issue 50.
Yeah. I would maybe even guess that issue 50 will be the finale of Act 3 of this story,
possible.
give or take. Yeah.
I mean, if 50 is the end of like the Wonder War and he wants to call the series there, give it to someone else, so be it. But I'm curious to see what else he's got under his belt past that.
Yeah, maybe he does have like another like chapter that he wants to do after that. But I mean, it would also make sense though if this is like this 3-part thing is the end of this all, because by the time we get to 50, that's 50 issues. Take out a couple of fill-ins.
Right.
So
yeah,
cool. What are you giving Wonder Woman issue 31?
I'm gonna say this is an 8. I think it's a very well crafted issue, even if the flashback stuff was a little bit weaker for me. The rest of it just really stepped up, and I appreciated enough of it that it got me into what the Wonder War is really going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it achieved in getting me excited for this arc, which is obviously its main goal, and gave me a couple of nice swerves along the way, which worked as well. So I'm going to go with an 8.5. I'm not going to quite say it's amazing, so I won't go with a 9, but I'll give it the 8.5. Mainly just like, well, I kind of enjoy the mystery of who the narrators are. It maybe was like I had to really think about it towards the end to realize, oh yeah, there's been like 3. Because I'll be honest, I think it switched colors at one point and I didn't notice, so I just thought it was one narrator for like half the book. And then when I noticed it switched colors again, I went, wait, is it been one color this whole time? And I went back. So that little bit of confusion just gets it down a little half point at the very least for me.